It's rolling.
A major way that human females differ from primates and other mammals is that they have hidden ovulatory cues. Chimpanzees, dogs, other animals get swollen genitalia when they are ovulating. Women don't do this. So, recent research has found that women do display subtle physiological changes across our ovulatory cycle and employ physical tactics to enhance or show that they are in high fertility. For this research proposal, we are hypothesizing that men can and do in fact infer ovulation in women, and that they are more apt to use such inferences to make sexual advances on fertile women. A study in 2003 by Thornhill and colleagues used women at all phases of ovulation and had them wear a t-shirt for 2 nights in a row during bed. They took the t-shirts, put them in a jar, and at a later date had both male and female participants smell the shirts and rate them based on attractiveness of the smell. Men did significantly better than females, and results showed that the shirts that men ranked as more attractive smelling were correlated with women that were high in fertility or at or near ovulation. Another study by Bryant and Hazelton focused on 69 women at different phases across the ovulatory cycle. They used auditory analysis methods to record the pitch of their voices across the cycle. Results showed that the closer to ovulation that a woman gets, the higher in pitch their voice goes. So these are just a couple examples of how women physiologically change across the ovulatory cycle, indicating that they are fertile. Another study by Roeder and colleagues focused on 25 college-aged women and how they felt across their ovulatory cycle in regards to sexual charge. So they answered a barrage of questions over the course of 30 days across their ovulatory cycle. Questions such as, how sexual do you feel today? How flirtatious are you today? It looked at things like ornamentation, what kind of jewelry they wore, how much makeup they used, how they presented themselves socially concerning hygiene. And results showed significant results that the closer to ovulation a woman is, the more ornamentation she uses, the more sexually charged she feels, the more flirtatious she feels. These are all subtle cues that women employ nearing ovulation to display fertility. In France in 2009, 211 females in 3 different nightclubs were observed. The experiment was male Confederates, one at each nightclub, would approach a woman during a slow song and introduce himself and ask if she wanted to dance. If the female refused, he would back off, approach another female, and then a female Confederate would approach the female and ask if she would be willing to take a short survey, asking where she was at in her menstrual cycle, if she was taking ovulatory contraceptives, and how old she was, and if she was in a long-term relationship. If the female potential participants accepted the advance to dance, he would then briefly debrief her, and then the female Confederate would ask her if she would take the same short survey. Results indicated that the closer to ovulation that each woman was, the more likely she was to accept the advance from the male Confederate to dance. More closely related to this proposal, Hazelton and colleagues observed 30 women across all the ovulatory phases and photographed them. They used 42 male judges, and they had the male judges select the most attractive women, or pick pictures of the women that were the most attractive to them. Judges selected women closer to ovulation 59.5% more frequently than those further from ovulation. So these research studies indicate that women do show subtle changes closer to ovulation and that men can pick up on said cues. It's important to note that all the women in these studies and the women that we are proposing to use in this study will not be taking contraceptives of any form. It has been shown that women taking contraceptives undergo changes in the chemical balances that normally occur throughout the ovulatory cycle, throwing off subtle cues. So they will be excluded from any of these studies. For this study, men have different things that attract them in women. So what one man finds attractive in a woman, another man may not find attractive. That being said, we're going to use 30 women participants taken from a random sample of entry-level college students on a voluntary basis. We will photograph them through 3 phases of ovulation: menstruation, low fertility, or the luteal phase, and high fertility, or ovulation. We are going to select randomly 50 to 100 male participants. For our first study with the men, we will have them view all 30 photos of the women in their luteal phase or low fertility and rate them on attractiveness, the top 3, from highest to lowest. So they will pick out of the 30 photos all women in the luteal phase. They will pick the top 3 most attractive women to them. And there will be a brief section underneath the survey asking them to reply to why they picked the women, what they found attractive about the women, and so on. A week later, we will ask the male participants to come back. Of the 3 women that they chose of the 30, we will show them pictures again. One female will be in the menstrual phase, the second female will be in low fertility or the luteal phase, and the third woman will be in high fertility or ovulation. We will then ask the men to rate the women based on attractiveness again and their willingness to approach them to ask them out on a date. For significant results, we're expecting the males to select the women at high fertility as the most attractive, and in the luteal phase as moderately attractive, and in the menstrual phase as the least attractive. For data collection, we're going to be using an ANOVA test. Our p-value will be set at 0.05 or less to find significance in our results. If the results come back at above 0.05, then we will be led to a null hypothesis. If our hypothesis is supported in this, we can branch out this research to other areas, such as how men react to ovulation cues in a long-term relationship. These are short-term mating strategies that men are employing to pick up on ovulation cues. So once they get into a long-term relationship, we often hear about male jealousy tactics, fear tactics, gifting tactics, in order to keep their mate close to them during their fertility or high fertility phases. But we can find out if they are picking up on the same cues as they were in a short-term mating strategy as they would in a mate retention long-term relationship. Thank you. I enjoyed the class. See you later.